Hey, everybody, and welcome to Professional Insights. This is brought to you by the National Referral Network, and this is where we share professional insights with all of you for your edification and information. Today, we're going to talk about property casualty insurance. As I sit here, I am, I want to say, about 7 or 8 miles away from evacuation areas here in Southern California. And so we thought we would have a property casualty expert on this morning to go through how to behave with your insurance, what to expect, what to do, all things insurance. And also, God forbid, if you're in danger of losing your home and you do lose your home, what can you do? Before I get there, please hit the like and subscribe button so that you can be a part of this online community we're building and receive this information on a regular basis. We really appreciate it. So with that, I want to bring in our property casualty expert here, and we will get to this. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Good, Mike. Good to see you again.
So we're here with Mark Hatch. Mark is a property casualty expert, property casualty insurance in the state of Utah, but operating in multiple states. Mark, I can't thank you enough for your time. So let's get right into this. So obviously, the thing that's been in the news, the thing that's on a lot of people, on everyone's minds here in Southern California and beyond, are the Southern California wildfires. We haven't seen anything like this in, I don't know, probably a few decades, maybe longer. And this is certainly going to do widespread damages. The worst of it's not over yet, but being somebody who lives not very close, but close enough to where the fires are, that I started looking at my own homeowners insurance and wondering, well, what's our coverage look like? And if we burn down, could we rebuild and all that stuff? Everybody owns a home, has insurance, but beyond that, what should insurance would policyholders be doing? How should they be behaving with it so they know it covers what they need and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mike. I would, for those of us who have not been involved in this catastrophe, I would break open your insurance policy, take a look at it, read through what coverages you have in there, what size deductible do you have. Something that's very important under these circumstances with total losses is, does your insurance policy pay for you to be put up in a hotel for a period of time until you've found somewhere else to temporarily live? And will it pay for that temporary living until they've built your house back? Okay. Those are some things certainly to think about. For these people who have been right in the middle of this devastation and this catastrophic loss, hopefully they purchase their insurance using an insurance agent. The agent can become very helpful at times like this. They clearly are not adjusters, so they cannot make the decision on claims, but they can help speed things along. I did read yesterday that the California Insurance Commissioner has lightened up the regulations for adjusters, where now an unlicensed adjuster can be used. I don't know how much that's going to speed things up. There have been so many losses throughout this catastrophe that it's, unfortunately, I think things are going to go to crawl to a grinding halt for a little bit until they can get caught up and get moving and figure out where things are.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be reminiscent of rush hour traffic on the 405.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Well, let me ask you a question. So you've got homeowners insurance. How do you know whether you've got, and let's just use very basic terms, how do you know whether or not you've got a good policy?
Well, that is a good question. Part of that is where you want to rely on your insurance agent, because he or she is truly the expert. They know the ins and the outs. What I tell our clients is to always read the exclusions section of the policy first, because an insurance policy it's just a contract, and they're complicated, and they will give you coverages in the first few pages, and then they'll take coverages away, way buried in the policy. So I tell all of our clients to start with, what are your coverage limits? How close are they to what it would cost to rebuild your home? And secondly, what is excluded from the policy, so that you can see what gaps you might have or what concerns you might have. We also recommend to all of our clients that prior to these types of losses, these catastrophic losses, you should go through your house with your phone, doing a video, literally, of talking about what you have in your home, describe what's there, and then you have a record that you can keep in a safe deposit box at a bank or in a safe somewhere, so that if you are in a situation like what's happening now, you at least have a record of what you had.
Right.
And then when the adjuster gets in, when you finally do get an adjuster assigned to your claim, you can say, hey, I've got this. This is what we had. And they will find that very, very helpful.
Well, let me ask you a question. So let's say you do that. And let's say you go through your kitchen and you've got pro appliances and granite countertops and custom made cabinets and all that stuff. Can the insurance adjuster show up and say, well, yeah, we cover that, but your policy only covers Formica countertops and, Home Depot cabinets and, will they replace what you had before?
They can. The right type of policy you want to have is called a replacement cost coverage. And that means that they're going to replace exactly what you have, or like, kind, and quality of what you have.
And that would be a feature in the policy that policyholders want to know they have, right?
It would say that very early on, right? In the first few pages, it'll tell you that. The other option is called actual cash value, and you do not want that. That is more like a depreciated value. And so if you lived in your home for 30 years and your appliances are pretty much depreciated, and so you're not going to find an insurance company more willing to step up.
So for people like me, or anybody, watching this, when things settle down, would it be a good idea to go back to their insurance agency, insurance company, whatever, and say, what kind of policy do I have? Will it actually replace what's in my house, or will you replace the basics? Would that be a good thing for people to do?
100%. Yep. And wouldn't even hurt to get that in writing from your insurance agent. That's a real good idea, because you want to have something to fall back on if you do have some sort of a catastrophic loss like this.
And is it, which begs the question, which company should you buy insurance from? Is that a big issue? Because, we see commercials. We see Jake from State Farm. You see the Mayhem guy from Allstate. You see Flo from Progressive. You see all these, the Geico lizard,
Right. Yeah.
Are companies that advertise generally better companies, or are they just companies that advertise more?
That's not been my experience in the 35 years I've been doing this. The ones that advertise more, that just tells you how much more money they're making that they have to advertise. The cost of that gecko is in the billions of dollars of marketing and advertising costs. And so I do not find that there is all that much more benefit from the companies that are doing all the advertising.
So they don't settle claims better. They don't, do they, by and large, their policies aren't necessarily better quality than somebody that doesn't advertise?
It's not been my experience. No, these are publicly traded companies. All of these insurance companies are. And so, they've got to do what's right for their shareholders, but they also they're under contract to do what's right for the policyholder as well. And so I don't find where they're trying to wiggle out of a claim, but some are certainly easier to work with than others.
So just to review real quickly, call up your insurance agent, find out what your policy actually covers, find out if it will actually replace and restore your home to its original condition, or its current condition rather. Okay.
Right. Yep.
For example, I looked at my policy, and there's a certain amount that it covers, that it will pay for. And I went and looked at the price per square foot of rebuilding in my area, and it seems to be consistent with what that is. But in a disaster like this, if the price per square foot spikes because there aren't many people to do the work, therefore how would an insurance company treat that?
It's treated with the cost on the day of the loss, because in a situation like yours, the cost of wood, steel, copper is going to go through the roof in Southern California because there's so much demand for it.
Yeah.
But the insurance companies are going to pay what they were obligated to pay at the date of the loss.
Which means that the homeowner could be on the hook for the differential if those costs spike, and there's nothing the homeowner can do about it. Is there a way to insure that risk?
Yes, there is. There's an endorsement that you could put onto a homeowner's policy called a guaranteed replacement cost. endorsement. Not every insurance company offers that, but it is an endorsement that can be added on where if it turns out that you were a little bit underinsured at the time of the loss, if you have that guaranteed replacement cost endorsement built in, you're going to get 100% of your home built back. And not every insurance company will offer that. And so that would clearly be something that I would recommend that you bring up with your agent when you meet with them and ask them if that's included in their policy.
And certainly that would carry an additional premium, wouldn't it?
There is, yes. Yeah, there is some additional premium for it. However, in circumstances like today, people are more than happy to pay a little additional premium if they get their house back. And
Sure.
so, one other point where we were talking about the cost or the value of your home, a lot of people also have things that they want to itemize. Maybe they have a wedding ring or a Rolex watch or
Right.
art on the walls that they have had appraised. You want to keep track of all of that, and you want to itemize that on your policy. Otherwise, the insurance companies just see, oh, we have jewelry at X amount. Well, no, we actually have a wedding ring at a much higher amount, and you want to specify that to the carrier. And usually the insurance company will require an appraisal to be done, and they submit that. But that way, you're going to get back what you lost.
Okay.
And so.
As you're talking, Mark, what's coming to my mind is the value of having an agent and the value of having an agent ask you these questions.
Yeah.
Because I think most people, and this happens a lot with car insurance, but certainly with homeowners insurance as well, they view these insurance policies as transactions primarily. And I want to get the best deal I can, the cheapest rate, that kind of thing. And yet most people I don't know to ask these questions. They barely know what they have.
Yeah.
And so I think highlights the need for using an agent who is going to ask you the right questions to make sure you get the coverage you need, or at least disclose to you maybe when you don't have it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Every time I watch a sporting event or something on TV and I hear this advertisement, oh, save 15%, and just come directly to us. Man, in a situation like that today, you do not want to be working directly with the insurance company who probably has maybe if they have licensed agents, they're not someone who knows you personally, who you've worked with before.
Right.
This is exactly when you want to have an agent who is looking out for your best interest and is making sure that you're insuring everything properly.
And how often should coverage be updated or at least looked at?
Annually at the least, excuse me. I tend to, we tend to be in touch with our clients about quarterly. It's not always a sit down visit, or sometimes it's not even a phone call. It might even just be an email to check in and say, hey, what's new? Anything new happening? Or, and then you find out that they're adding on to their home, and insurance is not the first thing in people's minds when they go to do something, and they forget about things.
Right.
And so you want to have some sort of regular conversation with them, not just to know what they're doing, but to get to know your agent a little bit. Is this somebody who is knowledgeable? Is this someone who I can trust? Is this someone who returns my phone calls? Is this somebody who I can work with in times of need, like situations we have right now? So,
the one thing I know, well, there's several things I know about insurance. Number one, everybody wants it. Number two, nobody wants to pay for it.
Yes.
And
right.
Number three, people don't like or trust insurance companies.
That's right.
That's where we are.
Yep.
So how do you, if you're somebody who's buying insurance, how do you overcome all that stuff? And if you're an agent, how do you work with somebody in the presence of all that?
Yeah. Well, and we do that largely just through communicating with our clients and speaking with them and talking through what their concerns are, what their needs are, what they want to do, maybe something they want to do down the road and they want to prepare for something. And so we try to communicate with them on that. Yeah, you're right. Insurance companies, they get a bad rap for sure, because there are claims that don't get paid. And that's largely due to the fact that the homeowner or the business owner, whatever it might be, doesn't know exactly what that contract says because they haven't read their policy.
Right.
And if you do look through your policy, you look through what is excluded, then you do at least know where you stand and what should be and should not be insured.
So everybody out there, it's by hook or by crook, should be doing a review of what it is they have. They should be asking questions regarding, does it actually replace what I have insured? Okay.
Yes.
And your suggestion of, I mean, we're going to do that. I'm going to do that here at my home, just go through and I'm going to take a video, not just of the house, of the entire property.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to walk from point A to point B across the entire property and say, look, here's a cinder block wall right here. And here's what's in the garage. And here's what's in like all of it. Right.
Yeah.
Because if the unthinkable happens, I want to be able to say to my insurance company, this is what needs to be replaced.
Right. And with our phones today, it's so easy to do that. It's just a matter of time.
Okay.
And Mike, if I could just circle back to the reading your policy, that's a hard ask because it's hard to read an insurance policy. They are difficult, they're complicated, and most people don't understand them. And that's where, again, I kind of circle back to that same idea. Hopefully you've got a knowledgeable insurance agent who does understand the policy, who can sit down and talk through things with you and show you what is and is not covered.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Mark. And as we wrap up, is there anything else that you would say to someone, times being what they are?
Well, hopefully you are insured. From what I'm hearing in the news, there are a fair number of people who were uninsured through this catastrophe, and I think that in and of itself is a catastrophe.
Yeah.
But clearly, make sure you've got a policy. Make sure that you understand what is in there. Make sure that you're insuring for the replacement cost, not the market value, but the replacement cost of your home, so that you have plenty of coverage. Make sure that you have that guaranteed replacement cost endorsement that I mentioned. That is a great value, and it's not overly expensive. And have a good relationship with your insurance agent. Hopefully he or she is someone who you speak with periodically, and you just know that you're properly covered.
Right. Mark, I can't thank you enough for your time here today. This is fantastic information. Obviously our hearts are with the people we know who have, lost their homes. I know several. And if you live here in Southern California, chances are you do know somebody who's lost their home.
Right.
So we will get through this. But in the meantime, this is a kind of a word to the wise moment. If you have insurance, take a look at what you have, talk to your agent, and all the things you're saying. Mark, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your time today.
All right, Mike. Good to visit with you. Take care.